Okay, so in section 7.2, we did substitution method to solve a system of equations. And in section 7.1, we did graphing to solve a system of equations where we graphed the two lines and saw the ordered pair with a cross. And remember that a system of equations is, for Algebra 1 purposes, we do linear. So we have two equations with two variables, usually an x and a y. And the solution we're looking for is an x and a y as a coordinate, as an ordered pair. So the same thing is happening today. However, we're doing it with a different method. Now, on your test, which is going to be Monday or Tuesday of next week, I'll let you know for sure because we're close to the end of this chapter. On your test, it'll say solve using this method. And you have to use the method it says. So if it looks like it would be easier to do elimination, but it says to use substitution, guess what you have to do? You have to use substitution. Even if you get the same answer and it's correct, if you don't use the method it says to use, it will be incorrect. Okay, following directions is important. So it's important that we know how to do all the different methods. So elimination, what you're doing with elimination is you're eliminating a variable. Now, what does it mean to eliminate something? To get rid of it, right? To get rid of it. In math, we call it canceling out. Okay? So we want to get rid of a variable. And the way we get rid of something mathematically is to do the opposite. Okay? And specifically on elimination method, we want to add the opposite. Okay? If we combine two things that are opposite, they make 0, right? Like negative 5 plus 5 equals what? 0. And negative 20 billion x times added to positive 20 billion x equals what? 0. If we combine two opposites, they make 0. So that's how things get eliminated. So if you look up here at this first system, 2x plus 3y equals 11 and negative 2x plus 5y equals 13. If you look at the x's, I have a positive 2x and a negative 2x. So what you're going to do with elimination is you're going to add vertically. Like we're going to add our like terms going down the columns. This only works if we're in standard form. Remember, standard form from a linear is ax plus by equals c. Technically, those need to be capital letters. Okay? So if they're in standard form, you want to do it vertically. So the x is 2x minus 2x makes what? 0x, which is 0. So these cancel out. Now, when you cancel them out, you don't want to scribble through so much where you can't see what the original said. But just draw a line, it's fine. And then you're going to add the y's, and then you're going to add those constants on the right-hand side. So what is 3y plus 5y? 8y. And then go down on the other side. What's 11 plus 13? 24. And now I have a little bitty baby equation. 8y equals 24. So how do I solve that for y? Divide by 8. And y equals 3. So I've already got one of them. Okay? So if you have two opposites with the same variable, same coefficients with opposite signs, then you can eliminate them and then find an easy one to solve. Now we need to know this value for x. So how do you think we can get the value for x? Plug in y equals 3 and for one of the y's in the one original problem, right? It doesn't matter if you plug it in the top one or the bottom one. I'm just going to do the top one. So I'm going to say 2x plus 3 times 3 equals 11. So where they had a y, I substitute it with a 3. So you're going to eliminate the first step, and then you're going to substitute the second step. And what is 3 times 3? So 2x plus 9 equals 11. And then I solve it for x. Subtract 9. 2x equals 2, and then what? And x equals 1. So what's my ordered pair for my solution here? 1, 3. Okay, so this is really early on in this lesson. It's really easy because the variables are going to be ready to cancel out to start with. But as we move on today, it's going to get to where we have to do something to make them cancel out. Okay. So y'all look at example B, please, and write that down. We're still eliminating. So we're looking for a variable that will cancel out. Do we have a variable that will already cancel out? Yes, I have a negative 4y and a positive 4y. So when I combine those, they will make 0y. So they will cancel out. Okay? So then we have to add our x's and we have to add our constants. So what is 7x plus 3x? 10x equals, what's negative 30 plus 10? Negative 20. And I know there's a big gap there, but it's okay. You still solve it the same. How do I solve 10x equals negative 20? Divide by 10, and x equals what? Negative 2. So there's my x. How do I get y? Plug it back into one of the original x's. Do y'all want to use the top equation or the bottom equation? Yeah, I like to pick the ones that have smaller numbers, stuff like that, because it just looks a little simpler. So I'm going to use the bottom one. So where they have an x, I'm replacing it with a negative 2. And what is 3 times negative 2? Plus 4y equals 10. And then I'm going to do what? Add the 6 to each side. So 4y equals 16. And then what do I do? Divide by 4 and y equals. And what's my ordered pair? Negative 2, 4. Don't forget to write the ordered pair because that's like not answering the problem. If I were to graph these lines, where would they cross at? Yeah, it's the same. We're talking about the same thing here, just doing it in a different way. All right, look at C. Ooh. Ooh. Why are we ooh in this one? Because there's no variables that cancel out. Those threes are looking like they might, but when I add them together, I really get 6y instead of 0y, right? Bless you. So, okay, you told me you knew what to do. What do we do? The whole problem? Or the top? That's right. Ah, but then it makes 5 negative, though. Okay, so he's right. So to get them to where they cancel out, you need them to be opposite signs. So to do that, if they have the same coefficient and all you need is the sign to be changed, multiply one row by negative 1. Now don't multiply both rows because then you'll have 2 negatives and they would add to be negative 6y, okay? So pick a row and multiply it by negative 1 and I'll do the bottom 2. There you go. Oh, Lord. So I like to put a box around my originals. I'm going to copy my first one just like it said. And then on the second row, I'm multiplying everything by negative 1, which just changes every sign. That's all multiplying by negative 1 does, is change all your signs. And don't forget to change that very last sign. That's a common mistake. Is people forget to change the one after the equal sign. So make sure you do that. So my 3 y's cancel out. What is 4x minus 5x? Negative 1x equals 2 plus 2 is 4, right? And then how do I get the x by itself? Divide by negative 1, and x equals what? Negative 4. How do we get y? Plug it into an original. I'm just going to do the top one. So 4 times negative 4 plus 3y equals 2. What is 4 times negative 4? Plus 3y equals 2. And then we do what? Add 16 on both sides. So 3y equals 18. Divide by 3 and y equals. And what's my ordered pair? Are we good? So if they had the same coefficients and you need to be opposite sides, pick one row and multiply the whole row by negative 1. which changes all the signs. Okay. They did it to us. What did they do to us? Mm-hmm. So basically that second equation is not in standard form, is it? No. So our first job would be to get that second equation in standard form, because elimination has to be in standard form. So how do I make that look like standard form? Subtract 3x and stick it on the front. That's basically what we're doing. So I'm going to recopy both of these. That's going to be negative 3x plus 4y equals 14. So that was my bottom equation after I fixed it, and then I'm just going to bring down the top. It don't matter which one you put on top and which one on bottom, as long as you have the same stuff together. So if they don't give us standard form for one, that's the first thing we have to do is make it look like ax plus by equals c. So now, is there a variable that's ready to eliminate? The y's, right? And it's already opposite sign, so it's ready to go ahead and cancel. Good deal. So then I'm going to add my x and add my constants. So what is negative 3x plus 8x? 5x equals, what's 14 minus 4? 10. So how do I solve for x? And what do we get? X equals 2. And I'm just going to plug that into the very first one. That 8x minus 4y equals negative 4 for x. So 8 times 2 minus 4y equals negative 4. What is 8 times 2? 16 minus 4y equals negative 4. Now what? So negative 4y equals negative 20. Divide by negative 4. And y equals what? 5. So what's my ordered pair? 2, 5. Any questions on that one? Put it in standard form first. So are there any questions eliminating when we have the variable that already has opposite signs, or when the variables have the same sign and we have to change one? Okay, so that is the end of section 7.3. So 7.3 did problems like this. If y'all just want to keep going, if you're down half a page or you want to flip to the back, that's fine. I'm just stopping in the middle of the page to start the next one. Now these next ones are going to be a little more complicated, because the variables won't be as ready to cancel out as they were in section 3. So remember, variables will cancel when they have opposite coefficients, like a 2 and a negative 2, or a 5 and a negative 5. Okay? Do any of these variables have opposite coefficients? No, they don't. So what you do when you have variables that don't have opposite coefficients, and you can't just multiply through by a negative to change the sign, is you look for something you can multiply to make a variable cancel out. Okay? So let's look at the x's. What's the lowest number that 2 and 3 both go into? 6. So to make the x's cancel out, I would need to multiply to get a positive 6 and a negative 6, right? So I would have to multiply both rows by something, wouldn't I? Does that make sense? But look at the y's. I got a negative 1y up top and a positive 4y on bottom. Yes, if I multiply this one times 4, that would be a negative 4 and a positive 4, wouldn't it? So let's do that. Let's multiply the top row by a 4. The whole entire row. You got to do all 3 terms, not just the first 2. So let's do that. What's 4 times 2x? What is 4 times negative y? Equals what's 4 times 6? 24. You got to multiply all 3 terms. So the second row I'm just going to copy. Now if you do that and the variable's not ready to cancel out, start over. We got to have a variable canceling out after we multiply. So these are opposite y's, so we can cancel those. And then I'm going to add my x's and add my constants. So what is 8x plus 3x? 11x equals what is 24 minus 2? 22. And how do I solve for x? Divide by 11. And x equals 2. And then how do I get y? Plug it into one of the originals. The top one looks a little easier. That 2x minus y equals 6 before I multiplied it by 4. That's what I'm going to do. 2 times 2 minus y equals 6. What's 2 times 2? Minus y equals 6. And then I do what? Subtract my 4. So negative y equals 2. Divide by negative 1. Y equals negative 2. So what's my ordered pair here? 2, negative 2. So if your variables aren't ready to cancel out and they're not just needing to change the sign, you got to look for something you can multiply to make them cancel out. And then you keep doing the same thing over and over. Okay. Look at this next one. So we don't have a variable that has opposite coefficients right now. So we can't eliminate yet. So we got to do some multiplying before we can eliminate. So what are y'all's thoughts? Okay. So if I want to cancel the x's, I can multiply the top row by negative 2, right? Because then I would have a negative 4x and a positive 4x. And if I wanted to cancel the y's, I'd have to multiply the top row by, you know which one I'm going to pick? The smaller one. Yeah. Because when you start multiplying by 11, we're up at negative 99, right? So I'm going to use negative 2. Now, if you pick negative 11, it'll still work. You will just have bigger numbers. Okay, but we still should all get the same ordered pair, regardless of which one we eliminate. But I like to use whichever would take the smallest numbers to get there. That's usually my choice. Does that make sense? Because when you start multiplying numbers and they're larger, they get really big. So, top row by negative 2. What's negative 2 times 2x? Negative 4x. What's negative 2 times y? Negative 2y equals what's negative 2 times negative 9? Positive 18. I'm not changing the bottom row, so I'm going to copy it. Draw my line. And what happens now? Cancel my x's. I wish you really could cancel your x's in real life. I guess that would be called murder, though. All right, so what is negative 2? Or just make it like it never happened. That would be better. So negative 2y plus 11y equals what? That's 9y. What's 18? What's 18 plus 9? 27. It's not wrong. It's true. Then what? And then y equals what? We got to have a little fun in math class, y'all. All right. And then, how are we going to get x? Plug it in from one of the originals. Y'all want to do the top original or bottom original? Sure, that's easy. So that's just 2x plus 3 equals negative 9. And then what? So 2x equals negative 12, and then we divide by 2, and x equals what? Negative 6. So what's the ordered pair? Negative 6, 3. X, then y. Are we good? So far, so good? Oh, yeah. Welcome to the good stuff. So this one we're going to think a little bit about. I'll try to think out loud, which is a little scary. What is the smallest number that 3 and 2 both go into? 6. So to eliminate my x's, I would need to change 1 to 6 and 1 to negative 6, right? Okay. What's the smallest number that 4 and 3 both go into? 12. And 12 is double of 6, right? So I think I want to stick with my x's. Okay? I like to pick whichever one's going to give me the smallest amount of numbers, or smallest value of numbers. So I'm going to pick x's. So we said we got to make one of them equal to positive 6 and one of them equal to negative 6, right? So it doesn't matter which one you make negative, because they're both positive, so I'll need to multiply one of those rows by a negative number, right? So to make 6, this one needs to be multiplied by 2, and the bottom needs to be multiplied by 3. They have the same sign, and I need them opposite signs. Pick one to change signs. Y'all want to change signs of the first one or the second one? I'll do the second. It don't matter. If you want to do the first, that's fine. Your work will look different than mine, but you still should get the same ordered pair. So are y'all okay with why I'm having to multiply both rows? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to change both of them. If I'm just multiplying the top by positive 2, I get a 6x plus 8y equals negative 50. And if I multiply the bottom by negative 3, I get negative 6x plus 9y equals negative 8. And now my x's cancel. And 8y plus 9y is 17y. But if you did the negative other way, you have negatives. I don't. Negative 50 minus 18 is negative 58. And I divide by 17. And we should all get the same answer here. Negative what? Everybody should have got negative 4 no matter what they could put their negatives at, right? So how do I get x? Well, get it to original. My originals are in black, so do I want to use the top one or the bottom one? I want to use the bottom. Go for it. I'm using the bottom. Started from the bottom now, right here. That just pops in my head when I say bottom. So negative 3 times negative 4 is what? Y'all think I'm just so old I don't know nothing. And I am kind of. All right, and then we divide by 2. And I'm getting x equals negative 3. Y'all getting that? And my ordered pair is negative 3, negative 4. Now we're all the way here. We're good. I gotta have fun. It's early in the morning. It's 8:40 a.m. Still what? It's early. And it's raining. We should have been in the bed today, but we're doing math. One more than a you try, promise. Promise. One more than a you try, and then I think it's the end. right, y'all help me think. Y'all's brains are younger and smarter than mine. So if I change the x's, I need a 12 and a negative 12. What about the y's? Now, is there much difference between 12 and 15? There's really not. Okay? But if you look at the y's, they're already opposite signs, aren't they? So I wouldn't have to multiply by a negative if I use the y's. So what do y'all think? Raise your hand if you think we should eliminate x's. Raise your hand if you think we should eliminate y. All right, let's do y. So I need them to be positive 15y, negative 15y, because that's the smallest number they both go into. So what do I need to multiply the top row by? 5. And what do I need to multiply the bottom row by? 3. And since they're already opposite signs on the y's, I'm not going to multiply by a negative. Okay? You only multiply by a negative if they have the same signs. And you need to make one negative. So I'm going to multiply my top row by 5. And that will get me 20x plus 15y equals 40. And y'all help me do the bottom. What's 3 times 3x? 9x minus what? 15y equals what? Draw my line. And are my y's ready to cancel out now? They better be. They are. What's 20x plus 9x? 29x equals what is 40 minus 69? Negative 29. Divide by 29. And x equals negative 1. And how do I get y? Plug it into an original. I'm going to use the top original at 4x plus 3y equals 8. So I'm going to say 4 times negative 1 plus 3y equals 8. So that is negative 4 plus 3y equals 8. Then what do we do? Add 4 on both sides. 3y equals what? 12. Then what do I do? Divide by 3 and y equals. And what's my ordered pair? Questions, anyone? That's as hard as it gets, y'all, is when you have to multiply both rows. Seriously. Y'all try this one. And I don't care if you eliminate the x's or the y's, whichever one you think is the best. you have your ordered pair, you can check it with a neighbor. Y'all should get the same ordered pair answer no matter what you eliminated first. So your work might look different, but you still should get the same answer. All right, raise your hand if you canceled out your x's. Nobody canceled out x's? Raise your hand if you canceled out your y's then. Okay, good. That makes it easier on me. So what's the lowest number that 3 and 4 both went into? 12. So you try to make them a positive 12y and a negative 12y. And do they have opposite signs or the same signs to start with? So that means you just multiply by positive numbers, right? So what did you multiply times the top row? 4. Good. And what did you multiply times the bottom row? 3. Did everybody do that? We good. Okay. So y'all just help me out and make sure I do it correctly. So what's 4 times 2x is? 4 times negative 3y. 4 times 6. Okay, on the bottom, 3, yeah. 3 times 7x. 3 times 4y equals, what's 3 times negative 8? Oh, fun. And then the y's cancel. And you got what? 29x equals what? When y'all saw that 0, did you think it was wrong? Good, because what is 0 divided by 29? And 0, y'all, is just an answer. It's just a number. Don't freak out if you get 0 for an answer. It happens. It's a number, right? And then how did you get y? Which original, top or bottom? Does it matter which one? It does not, because you still should get the same thing. I'm just going to do the top one just because it's on the top. What's anything times 0? So this is just negative 3y equals 6, right? Divide by negative 3, and y equals what? What's your ordered pair then? Raise your hand if you got 0, negative 2. Are there any questions on elimination? All right, so I'm about to pass out your worksheet, and that will be your assignment for today.